Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez recently utilized a tweet by Paul Krugman of the New York Times in order to raise an important point about the myth of healthcare choice in America. Now, what Krugman had written is, quote, "I couldn't figure out the difference between the Cooney plans, so I asked HR if they could summarize the differences. They said no." Now, this is a common thing that people have to deal with. I mean, we deal with it here with our company and the different healthcare options that you have when you do open enrollment. And you have like a million questions. Which plan is the best? Which plan is more affordable? How do I balance good coverage with affordability? What's the difference between an HMO and a PPO? It's difficult to decipher what's best for you. And so AOC quote tweeted Paul Krugman's tweet and said the following: "A lot of Republicans are quite upset about critiquing the frame of choice within our health insurance system, with many saying that those who struggle to pick the best insurance option are simply too dumb to know better. But the complexity of our system is by design." And again, she quote tweeted Krugman there. And then in a subsequent tweet, she wrote, "They're also upset that I stated 66 choices is too many. It is. Healthcare is not H&M. I particularly love that line. Insurance is a complex financial product for the doctor. Costs are skyrocketing largely due to the financialization of our health. Streamlining our system and covering more isn't a bad thing." And that's why she's a proponent of Medicare for all, and so am I.
Yeah, she's certainly right about the healthcare plans. I would argue that even in the context of H&M, it's too much. It's one of the reasons I don't like going to malls. There's too many options. Like honestly, like for everything, we need less choice. It's actually really bad. There's a lot of consumer studies that show that. Yeah, and we had to do our re-enrollment thing. And we don't have 66, I don't know what it is, it's like 7 or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't consider myself a stupid person, but it was very difficult and complex when there's so many numbers going up and down to be able to figure out, not just to figure out which is best, but which is best under which hypothetical future. What health situation am I gonna be in that means that the deductible is more important to stress versus the overall cap versus all of these things? It does not appear to be designed in a way that gives me the best ability to plan for the future.
And by the way, I also want to just kind of talk about the myth of choice overall, because many Americans, the vast majority of Americans who have healthcare, have their healthcare through work, through their employer. And I don't get to decide which options I get to choose from during open enrollment. The company gets to decide that. Executives at the company get to decide that. And then I have to choose depending on what executives in the company have chosen on my behalf. And that's at a company like TYT that actually gives you options.
Yeah.
There are companies that don't give you any options. Where my husband works, there's one option, literally one option.
Yeah,
okay?
it's just a pack of Band-Aids.
So
that's it.
You either say yes during open enrollment to the one option they give you, or you're done, you don't have healthcare through your employer, right?
Yeah.
And so under that type of system, maybe the one option they give you is great and you're okay with it, but who's to say it'll be the same option next year or the year after that? And look, there is no real choice, right? It's not about private insurance, right? It's about ensuring that you can go see the doctor you're comfortable with. Under a Medicare for all system, you get to see any doctor you want to see. Under the current system we have right now, you got to see whether or not your insurance covers that doctor, if that doctor's in network. I mean, it's just all this nonsense. And at the point of care, you don't know what you're gonna get. There's no transparency. Of course, there are co-pays, deductibles, premiums, we all know that. But there's also this issue of going to the doctor telling you you need an X-ray or an MRI or whatever it is. They don't tell you how much it's gonna cost. You do it because you're worried about your own health or the health of a family member, and then you're slapped with a giant bill later that month. Is that the choice that we're gonna be celebrating in this country? Anyone who tells you that it's about choice is lying to you, and just be clear about that.
Yeah, and you might have 7 choices or perhaps 66 in some system, but on some of the most fundamental potential variables, do you have any choice? Do any of the 66 mean that if you get really, really sick, you're not gonna go bankrupt? Not necessarily. Are there any of those choices that mean that you will not spend a significant portion of your take-home pay on health insurance? Best case scenario, even if you don't need it. No, you don't have an option for that. You're gonna spend a ton of money. And so giving us all of this choice, like it's not shirts, it's not cereal. Like it's a distraction from a more fundamental choice, a choice where it's just taken care of and we have the same sorts of easy access that a lot of other countries have been able to manage.
Yeah. It's a great point.
And by the way, I don't know that she's doing it here necessarily, but she has been quite critical recently of people like Pete Buttigieg who've been pushing a different sort of choice thing that we don't want Medicare for all because then you have no choice at all. We want to be able to choose between different health insurance companies. And the thing is, similar to his arguments about college for all, he uses this like tricky language to hide the fact that fundamentally the person that benefits under his preferred outcome are health insurance companies, the wealthy who will have lower taxes under his plan. Like you can like sort of try to inject a fake version of your values into an argument. But if at the end of the day, the person who benefits is not really us, since we're not benefiting from the way things are right now in terms of choice, but the health insurance companies that you will protect to the death from being killed, then I don't care what language you use along the way. I care about who really benefits. And who benefits is not a regular person who's just gonna be confused by this anyway, but the health insurance companies whose future is imperiled by somebody like Bernie Sanders.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.